Good morning. Today is Sunday, September 28th, doing the weekly prep for the week of the 29th. And so we'll just kind of run through everything here. So, just quick look at the options flow for the Qs this past week. Looks like sentiment is a little bit more bearish. I guess that's perhaps to be expected there. If we look at the sentiment on Thursday, bearish, and then on Friday, bearish as well. Um, So, there you go. And if we look at for the week, and we'll look at, let's just look for expiries. See, 28th, 29th. So on Monday, real bearish. And if we go for the Friday, bearish as well. So that's looks like that's where people are betting. So we're definitely betting a little bit more to the downside, which I guess is to be expected given that we are, you know, given where price is. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Also, there was some dark pools, which I definitely marked on the charts, and we'll walk through that. As far as what's coming up, so it's interesting. I guess I saw this where the Trump administration is looking to add tariffs based on the number of chips in the device. So that'll be interesting for tech, for hardware stuff. Um, so it looks like Monday we'll have some Fed speakers, some home stuff. I would say nothing too crazy, but let's see if the Fed speakers talk about anything different than they have been saying. So we'll see what that looks like. And then we have the CB consumer confidence, so that'll be in the job opening. So there you go. So that'll be something that should give us some volatility on Tuesday. And then we got the ADP, and then the manufacturing. I think the manufacturing may not be that big of a deal. I feel like we'll probably pay attention more to the services. ADP employment change, I guess we'll see if that's a good indication of what's to come. And then we have on the second, we got the jobless claims. So there you go. Thursday will be good with some volatility. And then we got the NFP on Friday. So that'll be fun. So, probably slow going on Monday and then a little bit of volatility on Tuesday, and then things start kind of picking up as we anticipate jobless claims and NFP. So I guess that'll be good. There should be some movement there. As far as how prices were looking on Friday, I mean, across the board, we closed green on the day, which is good for the indexes. Everybody had nice bounces off of these EMAs and HMAs on the charts that I look at. So that's good. We got the Dow kind of breaking the high of the previous day. We had the Russell closing green, but couldn't break the high. ES closing green couldn't quite break the high. So just kind of hanging out there. And same thing for the NQ. So it's interesting. Maybe there's like a rotation back into Dow and industrials and a little bit more risk off on kind of growth tech and all the things and penny stocks. So that's interesting. But everything is up. So everything looks bullish there. We have VIX kind of cooling off again. We got the dollar kind of breaking out, not breaking out, but just kind of coming back up, coming back to life there. We have our treasury note yields just hanging out in that little gap there. So there you go. And then for the XOK, so interesting here, XOK actually broke high of yesterday, at least regular trading hours. So that is bullish for tech. So looks like up is the way. I feel like because Dow closed leading, it's more kind of cautiously bullish, I think. If the NQ or even the Russell, I think, were closed like strong green, then I think it's more risk on. Like people are really willing to put their money in the longs. It feels a little bit more cautious, I think, for the Dow, at least for me. So that's something I'll keep in mind. We have our mega cap, mega tech, big companies here. So Apple eking out new high, which is great, closing on the green. I really feel like it wants that 260. So let's see. That's pretty amazing. We got Microsoft hanging out, kind of coiling. Looks really bullish. Broke the high of the last 2 days. Looks like it that looks like a nice coiling up for a long there. Amazon, nice little sell off and then kind of eked out a little higher high here. So let's see what next week's bring. But if you kind of zoom out, right, if you draw trend lines or whatever, still you can find one that says kind of supports an upward narrative. Like we're not really falling over or anything. Um, Even here, there's like this level 215, could be like support and all that. So let's see. We got Google, which was cooling off, and now we made a new high, or we made a new higher high. So looks bullish to me. People are still willing to buy. Interesting, Meta is not showing the same strength as Apple and Microsoft and Google, and even Amazon. So Amazon at least printed a higher high on Friday. Meta not so much, lower low and lower low. So that is interesting. So I guess it also broke this support here after that small gap up, from September 11th and all that. Kind of close. So it closed this little gap. So now it becomes, are we going to go a little bit lower, or was that gap just to kind of grab more longs and we'll kind of push back up? So I'll put an alert there. But if that continues going down, that could signal a little bit of weakness for overall tech. Nvidia is a little bit muted, a little inside candle and indecision. So let's see. We got Tesla. Tesla's always strong. Looks like we want to go up. I've seen a bunch of stuff on social media. Everybody has like 500 strike price calls with lots of money. So maybe people are expecting something. So that is just something to keep in mind there. And the Qs are the Qs following the XOK, breaking printing a new higher high on the regular trading hours. So I think for me, Qs are bullish, Tesla's bullish, Nvidia's muted, Meta, I would say it's muted for now. Google's bullish, Amazon coming back to life, but we'll say it's neutral for now. Microsoft looks very poised, but we'll call it neutral, and then Apple is bullish. So overall, I think cautiously bullish is the way. Just how price looked on Friday at least. So we'll just see what next week brings. But that is definitely my thinking going into Monday at least, and then we'll see how the news shakes out. Also, I think there was all the rate cuts that we were expecting, like two or three, like two more this year maybe, and then what, three next year. I feel like the Fed has kind of given us language that they're not completely bought into that idea, and so we'll see. Like I think the NFP and the jobless claims, if those come in really strong, like positive for the economy, then maybe we don't get our rate cuts and maybe we have our pullback. If they come in weak, then maybe we go up because of rate cuts, which is kind of ridiculous, right? So like we want the economy numbers to be bad so we get rate cuts. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, there you go. And then I guess as far as the NQ and what I'm looking for here, so I marked key levels and the dark pool levels that I cared about. Key levels I was looking at, kind of imbalance areas on the footprint charts and all that. And so mark the dark pool levels from Thursday and for Friday. And so I'll just be watching these two levels here, this 2476 and this 24722, and just seeing how price reacts at those levels at Monday. Like, can we break above and kind of go back towards this kind of imbalance level? Or if we fall over, and does this act as support, or do we keep going? So that's really just what I'm looking for. Um, and so yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I think on the 1 minute, we'll see what pre-market looks like. But we kind of closed on the highs there right at this dark pool level that was printed on Thursday. We had this other dark pool level that was printed on Friday. And in the last 3 days, and so I've been playing around with volume profiles for a while, but I haven't found one that I didn't like how volume profiles were just over the price charts, and it just kind of gets annoying. But I found this one where you can kind of pat it to the right, and it's kind of a rolling period. And so this smaller one is a rolling 8 hour period, and so basically one day, right? And so it'll just kind of be a rolling 8 day, and then this bigger one is rolling 3 day period, so three regular sessions. And so since I scalp, like I don't really look much longer than 3 days for the levels, to be honest. And so for me, I like this little low volume area. So let's see how price, if we can maybe either gap up above that and just keep going, or, we'll see how that either shoots us up or we break down. So that'll be interesting for me. Um, I do like this area which I marked here, and you kind of see why there. If we can get there, very interested in potentially shorting there. So we'll see. Um, but if we can't clear this for whatever, come back down to this level. We base. Obviously we'll be looking for longs in that area. So we'll see how Monday works. I'll look at pre-market, but that's kind of what things look like for Monday at least. And then as Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday unfolds, as the news kind of comes out, we'll just reassess and see if there's any new levels and all that to kind of pay attention to. Cool. Well, that's it for me. Good luck this week, and I will be back tomorrow. Thank you.